Hi, it's Dr. Mercola. I'd like to respond to a number of inquiries we received regarding how to manage a common skin problem called eczema, or in more clinical term for it would be atopic dermatitis. And closely associated with this is psoriasis. Even though they're different diseases, their treatments are relatively similar, many commonalities to that. So what can you do for these conditions? Well, first of all, it's important to know that eczema is really, as one of my dermatology professors explained to me, the itch that rashes. In other words, there really isn't a rash until you start scratching it. So the first thing is, don't scratch it. But it's very difficult to do if you ever had this intense itch. So what can you do to relieve the itching? Well, a simple, really inexpensive way is to put a saltwater compress over the area that's itching. And ideally, you don't want to use a processed salt like normal table salt, but get a high quality salt like Himalayan salt and make a solution, just put it on there, and you will be absolutely amazed. The itching will virtually disappear. So the first thing, don't scratch your skin. Now, another one is that you want to make sure that your skin is optimally hydrated. And one of the ways that you can do this is to make sure that there's sufficient high-quality animal-based omega-3 fats. Now, you can use plant-based omega-3 fats like flaxseed and hemp seed, but they just are not going to cut the mustard when it comes to providing the clinical benefit that you need in reducing inflammation and swelling of the skin is the animal-based ones like fish oil or from krill. So make sure there's enough of that in the diet. The other really important component is you want to make sure that you're using a very mild soap and don't use don't bathe quite a bit and frequently, especially in the winter, because that's going to deplete the important fats into your skin, and it's going to make it much more likely to worsen the condition. So need to limit the amount of an exposure to harsh soaps. Ideally, you're going to want to have a good source of high-quality probiotics because there's a tremendous connection between the skin and the gut health. So you could also use fermented foods to achieve this, but that's not as common or easy. So typically, a high-quality, good probiotic is another useful strategy. Additionally, food allergies play an enormous role in this condition. So it's been my experience that perhaps the most common offending agent is wheat, and more specifically gluten, which is in other grains. So avoiding gluten-type grains would be a wise first step. You can also avoid other grains because if you have high amounts of sugars in your system, it's going to increase your insulin levels, which will increase inflammatory conditions and itching and things like that. So you have to be really careful of that. Another common offending agent would be milk and eggs. So you want to eliminate those. Typically, if you're trying a food elimination trial, I would say a week or so, you should see some improvement. Sometimes much sooner, a few days. So if you see a benefit there, then I've seen so many people improve it, just this one simple step. And then, of course, sort of the new magic is vitamin D. And if you haven't seen my lecture on that yet, please watch that. I did a 70-minute lecture on that is available on the site for you to view. It goes into all the specific details. But it's not just vitamin D. Ideally, it's sunshine, because that is the ideal way to achieve these benefits. And if it's winter and you're not going to have it available, then you want to have some other alternative form of UVB exposure, which would be a high-quality, safe tanning bed. So finding a safe tanning bed would be a really important component because the UVB, once it gets onto the skin, not only will make vitamin D, but it will also help restore ideal skin function, and especially if you have psoriasis, which you can apply all the other elements I mentioned earlier, but specifically, this seems to be the most important, that if you can get high amounts of UVB where you're not causing any sunburn, but directly on the affected skin, will do enormous things to improve the quality of the skin and really to bring it back to its healthy state. So ideally, sunshine, if that's available to you. If not, a safe tanning bed, which has the optimized form of UVA and UVB wavelengths, and also no dangerous magnetic skin balance. So hopefully this information was helpful, because this is a common challenging problem that can be easily treated, and you don't have to use expensive and dangerous medications, especially steroid creams. It's clearly something you want to avoid, because even though they work initially, they do tend to very rapidly develop a tolerance to them, and they're absorbed into your skin. They're a synthetic steroid. They will cause havoc with your adrenal system, so you clearly want to avoid those and use these natural methods, because they will work almost all the time, especially if you diligently apply them. So hopefully this was helpful.